now because I just want, oh my gosh, we're live. I want everybody to meet you because you're like hands down one of my most favorite people. So hi, Facebook.
Thank you. Hey, Facebook.
This is Hyacinth. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I got to co-author a book with Hyacinth, and first of all, her name's like ridiculously, outrageously awesome. And then look at her. She's so freaking beautiful. She's so cool. And she has a podcast called The American Cream. So I'm going to have her talk about that in a minute. But as you all know, we are bringing experts forward and I'm interviewing them every day. So many times a day, sometimes. We're on Facebook Live number 21 today. Yeah. And so we're running a promotion through the end of the week. And this is our third week that we're on doing this now. So we've done it for exactly 2 weeks. And we are just sharing advice in, whatever lane that we're in. And when I say lane, I mean, Hyacinth, you're a light leader. So you hold a lamp that shines very, very bright for people that are in the darkness to be able to see and follow you. And I would love for you to talk about what your lamp looks like. Where's your lane of how you are helping people right now through this unprecedented time? I don't call it a crisis. I don't call it fearful. I don't call it any of those words because that's just planting those seeds in our mind. It's a time of opportunity. It's a time for, even though we're locked down, we have the freedom to choose what we do with our day every day with what we have available to us. And that's very special. So I'd love for you to share with them how you're assisting people through this and tell Facebook community a little bit about you.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Colleen, for having me here on your platform. It is always a pleasure to be in your energy field, in your realms. I appreciate that. Facebook, for those of you who may not know of me, I am Hyacinth, and it's Hyacinth like the flower. Some people call me the money lady. Some people, as Colleen referred to me, as a light leader. I do a combination of many things, right? So I don't know which title to use, but basically what I do is by trade, I teach people about their finances. I'm a stockbroker and investment advisor and things like that. But really and truly, I get down to the nitty gritty of it. And that comes from your mindset and really empowering people to be educated about their money. And so, Colleen, it's interesting that you title me as a light leader, because when I think about what I do, it just seems, so minute to say, oh, I'm a stockbroker. Yes, I am a stockbroker. And that's a big accomplishment, but I enjoy doing so much more than trading stock, right? So during this time where it is an unprecedented time, and I love that you are very intentional with your words, because words matter, right? So we paint our future with the brush of the words and the language that we use. So during this time, people are faced between, it's a transitional period is what I like to say. You're in transition. So the first thing that I'm guiding people to do is really stop and think about where you are. Like, where am I? How did we get here? Now that I've kind of gained my footing a little bit, where am I? How do I get here? And most importantly, where do you want to go? Because we all are of the belief, right, that we are going to get up tomorrow morning. Tonight, the sun is going to set. We're going to have a beautiful full moon tonight. And after the full moon, we're going to wake up tomorrow and our eyes are going to open. So if you know that your eyes are going to open, or if you're of the belief of the expectation that your eyes are going to open in the morning, what are you doing to plan for that? And it cannot be watching the news. It cannot be focusing on doom and gloom. It cannot be panicking. The mindset should be, it must be, well, the sun is going to rise again tomorrow, and I know that I'm going to be here. I desire to be here. Let me plan for that. And so as the money lady, right, someone with the financial planning background, and that's what I do by day. So by day, I run a full service financial planning firm. The name of our company is the Henderson Financial Group, and we are very busy during this time because guess what? The market is showing its butt. Like, it is doing what it's doing. The stock market is having a great time. So we're busy in that regard. And people are thinking it's just about money, right? So as you get up and you think, well, gosh, I want to get up and I want to be here tomorrow. How does my money look? How does my finances look? Well, the first thing that I advise people to do is to take an assessment of where you are right now today. right? I was having a text conversation with someone this morning in the middle of homeschooling my 9-year-old. And he says, well, the light bill has gone up. And I reminded him, I said, well, your gas bill has also decreased.
Way down.
Right? It's gone way
Hundreds
down.
of dollars a month for most people.
Yes, yes. And sometimes we don't look at that. So as you look at where you are, sure, things have adjusted because this is a transitionary period, but just like things have adjusted, things have gone up, there are some things that have also gone down.
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on, oh my gosh, I have to do more of this, or this has gone up, let's give gratitude and let's give thanks for where you get some relief from. Like for me, this is a confessional moment right now, totally transparent, maybe TMI, but I did not like to get my nails done. Let me tell you, every time I would have to go to the nail shop every 2 or 3 weeks, I felt like I was being dragged in there because I just didn't want to do it. And now I'm like, woo, I am saving that $60 a month. I don't have to get, my nails are all chipped up and peeling off. And yes, I have not gone to the drugstore to file them and do all these things just because I just don't feel like it. I don't want to do it, but that's something else that you can think about where you have received relief at. So one of the things that I want people to do is to take assessment of where you have felt relief. And then after you take assessment of that, then let's think about where we are going to go next. As we are in this transitional period now, we can think about the things that we haven't really used that we don't really need. Let me give you an example. This transition came right as I was personally transitioning in my personal life. So I had just moved at the beginning of March. And yesterday I started unboxing more things because yes, I still have things in boxes. And I started finding all kinds of things that I didn't even know that I needed that I haven't used in the past almost 60 days now. So I want you to think about that as you're in this transitionary period. What do you have? What bills do you have? What expenses do you have? What habits do you have that you can let go of? Right? I have not used this item. I have not used this, budgeted item. I have not seen these people. I have not, what can you let go of? Because we've kind of been forced in that space, but don't forget to reflect. Because as you reflect, then you can prepare to go forward. Okay, so now you've taken assessment of where you are. You've reflected on what you can get rid of, because we got to pack light. Like we're going to a new level. Now when we define where we want to go, let's talk about money, right? What does your financial future look like? How does that look? How do you want it to look? Are you in a period where, you got hit with this transition and you have more than enough reserves? Or did you realize that you had not been managing your money appropriately, right? And I don't want to say correctly, appropriately for you, because managing my money a certain way is maybe different from you managing your money a certain way. At the end of the day, it just matters how you're able to use the resources that you have. So one of the big items that I encourage people to take away from this time period is the word management. How are you managing your resources? How are you now going to continue to manage your resources? Let me tell you, one of the biggest resources that we have is time. So before this, I had a calendar that I kept, and everyone knows if it's not in my calendar, I'm not doing it, right? However, there was, some times where I would waver a little bit. I would maybe spend a little bit too much time on social media or things like that. Now, with the fact that we're in this period and I am homeschooling my 9-year-old every morning from 8 to about 12 or 12:30. After 12:30, my time is even more important. That means I have to get to my office, I have to get to my clients, I have to speak with my employees, and I don't have a lot of time to do other things. I don't have a lot of time to have conversations and meaningless conversations. So it's causing me to wake up and say, Hyacinth, how are you managing your time? So the word for this period is going to be management. How are you managing your time? How are you managing your finances? And how are you managing your resources, the resources that you have? I see a lot of people saying, we've been going to the grocery store. Oh, I'm tired of cooking, or all these things. Listen, I told my children, don't send me back to the grocery store until everything out of this house is gone. I want everything out of the pantry gone. We've gotten creative with using it, with cooking it. And so it all boils down to management. And so you think, gosh, Hyacinth, okay, management, that sounds easy. Let me tell you, it can be easy. It is definitely a challenge, but it can be easy. And what the difference maker is going to be the mindset that you bring with it. The mindset that you bring to the table of how am I managing my day? The mindset that you bring to the table of how am I managing my finances? How am I managing my time? Your mindset is going to be so very important during this time. And I encourage everyone to roll out of bed and roll onto the floor. And what you do on that floor, you're either meditating, you're praying, you're journaling, whatever floats your boat. You're rolling out of bed and you're rolling onto the floor because you need that quiet time with yourself so that you can set your day up before you start homeschooling, before you get on the first virtual video conference for the day, before you take care of someone else. Commit to rolling out of bed and rolling on the floor, right?
Sounds great. I don't even know where to start with everything you just gave as advice. You guys, this is some beautiful advice, and somebody coming from the money industry and understanding the exchange and strategy of cash, right? I think that you've made I wrote down some tips of taking an assessment of where you are today. I love what you said by, looking at what resources are you using and what are you not. We have a lot of discretionary dollars right now. We're not utilizing gas. I've heard auto insurance companies are giving back rebates because people aren't driving as much right now. We are not going out to eat as much as we were before. We're cooking at home more. And this is a time, as a pause in life, to get back to the things that are the most important. And it's really about what are the priorities in your life. And before, I believe it was just a bunch of distractions. Everything before was a distraction, and we were just running ragged everywhere, flying on planes and going to these meetings, and just we're constantly inundated with just busy stuff. And we talked about this morning in another conference call I had, which was, we all have the same amount of time in a day. Not one person has more time. We all have equally 24 hours. So how are you going to use that time? And the only way you gain more time is to enroll resources. So enroll the kids to help more around the house, to do more cleaning. They're home a lot longer. They can sleep more. They can, enjoy focusing on schoolwork for the little bits of time that they do and not have to be stuck at school from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m., right? So there's so many opportunities for us to assess. I like when you said assess where you are today. Look at where your life was. What's missing that you don't even miss? Or what's missing that you truly, maybe in the past, you didn't realize it or took it for granted. Like, for instance, I can't see any of my grandkids right now, except for on video. I can't hug them. Like, I took hugs way too much for granted before. I can't hug anyone other than my husband because he's the only one living in my house. So I really love the taking inventory of what's important to you, because when we come out of this, everybody, it's not business as usual. You're changed. This has been an impact on your life in a positive way. How are you going to take this opportunity now, this freedom that you have now, to focus on the things that are important and continue focusing on those moving forward? And Hyacinth, I wanted to ask you one last question before we start wrapping this up for everybody, is what would you recommend for someone going back to their financial situation right now? Obviously, if someone doesn't have money in reserve, they're kicking themselves in the butt and they're struggling with that. But we've done webinars. I've interviewed experts. We've put out webinars that I'm going to keep loading them up on Facebook, that are all about the CARE Act and how to break it down and what you should be, acknowledging. I've received more emails from companies that I work with now than I ever have in the past, that's saying, hey, we're here to help you if you need it. My mortgage company's reached out, my credit union reached out, where I have my car payment. So all of these companies are reaching out. And if they aren't, the best thing to do is to open conversations if you're struggling with money. So what have you been advising people in your life or clients that you work with at this point on how they're managing cash right now?
First of all, I love that you've been bringing experts on to educate the community about these important topics, because lots of times we can feel like, oh, everyone knows that, and that's not the case. So kudos to you for bringing them on, and to the audience out there listening, please make sure you go back and you listen to the episodes and research the experts and their advice and things like that. So what I have been telling people to do is to listen. Now you're being forced to spend time with your money, right? Before, nobody wants to talk about their money unless they want to spend it. And then it's like, why aren't you here for me? Right. So now that we're forced to spend time with our money, there's no sense in crying over spilled milk. No sense in saying I should have, could have, would have been prepared. We are here. We're here right now. And now that we're here, what does that look like? Well, first of all, that looks like, I said, the whole world right now is being nice. Everyone is Mr. and Mrs. Nice Pants. Like you said, your mortgage company called you and said, hey, we can help you. Usually they're like, we want our money, we want it now. And if not, we're going to charge you a late fee. So I mentioned that because I want to encourage people to take advantage of that. Take advantage of the kindness. And taking advantage may be the wrong word. Tap into that. So the word is tap into that. Tap into your creditors and say, hey, you're experiencing COVID just like I'm experiencing COVID. What can we do? What can you do for me that won't hurt my credit? What can you put on the back end? How can we defer payments? And it doesn't matter if you have money at 6 months or more of reserves in your savings or not. It doesn't matter what your current financial position is. I recommend everyone to call their creditors. Do you know why? Because we don't know what tomorrow brings. Right. We don't know what's around the corner. And so if we're at the playground and everyone wants to play nice, we'll go over and have a conversation. So that's what I've been telling everyone that calls me, everyone that I speak to, call them, let go of your ego. Even if you have the money to pay, call them and say, what can we do? Have the conversation, right? And so after you have the conversation, then let's look at, again, some of the things that we don't need that we can reduce and cutting our expenses. Again, it's not a matter of you not having the resources. It's a matter of you realizing that something is shifting. And since something is shifting, you need to shift as well. We don't want to be caught where we're saying, oh gosh, I didn't know. Now let's take this as a warning sign and start to scale back on certain items and certain things, right? And then the final thing that I'm recommending is you got to speak with a financial planner or a financial advisor. Now is the time. You are a subject matter expert in whatever it is that you do. Now is not the time for you to be playing around with your money. Especially people are calling like crazy about their 401ks. They're calling, they have questions about the market. What should I do? And listen, the Henderson Financial Group is not a plug and play, one size fits all shop. So I don't give blanket advice. What I tell everyone is whether you see me or if you see someone else, now is the time for you to get professional advice because you need it. And now, again, remember, the whole world is playing nice. So people want to help you. We want to help you. We want to educate you. We want to tell you, okay, do this, not that. Look at this, look at that. So the time is to be spending time with your money. Before, nobody wants to spend time with their money. Now, just like you're spending time with your family, quarantine with your money, quarantine with your finances, and get to know the ins and outs of what you have, and then devise a plan for today and tomorrow.
And if you don't have a budget, you need one. That's something that, you know, raising my kids, anyone I talk with, when they literally have no idea how much money they have or a budget, my jaw drops. I live my life. I just know how much money's coming in and how much money's going out. And every dollar, you know, has a place to be. And I think it's just being it's being responsible with your money. Just as you're responsible with your children and how you raise them, you need to be responsible with your money and where it goes.
And a lot of times, yeah, Colleen, people are scared, right? People are like, well, budget, how do I do that? Right? So let me make it very easy for you. Get a piece of paper. It could be a dollar store notebook or a napkin. Write down everything that comes in for the month, whether that's your paycheck, your child support, your unemployment, money from your sugar daddy or sugar mama. Write it down. That is your inflows, right? Write it down. You must write down what comes in every single month or every 2 weeks. Write it down. Then on the other side of the paper, start writing down, or napkin or whatever you're using, start writing down everything that goes out. So at first we know that's mortgage, that's rent, that's car note, that's car insurance. So write down those big ticket items. Then what you need to do is your smaller items, you're going to have to, as they come up, and the reason why I encourage a napkin or a piece of paper is because you got to carry it with you. So when you realize you just had to pay the cable bill or you just had to pay your toll ticket, you need to write that down as well. So when you start there, then you can really look at where your money is going and then create how you want to direct it. But the problem is most people are intimidated and they're like, how do I create a budget? Write down what you got and write down what you're given.
Absolutely. That's great advice. Thank you so much for sharing that. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's conversation because this was absolutely amazing. And Hyacinth, you didn't disappoint because you never do. You are so on point all the time. And I want to share with you all that this is really serious to take into account now. And you get one nugget out of this conversation that we had today, two, I'm going to say, call your creditors, all the creditors, call everyone, drop your ego. No one knows about it. Call every creditor you have, call credit card, cars, mortgages, whatever. See if they can do anything to help you with percentage rates, pushing off a payment, skipping a payment, whatever. I mean, my credit union came to me. I was like, did you know that you could skip your car payment if you wanted this month and not have any penalties? I was like, well, okay. Mm-hmm. All right. No, normally in a normal world, I wouldn't do that. But right now I'm like, but I need to make sure I've still got cash because I don't know how much longer we're going to be quarantined or how much more work, my husband's going to lose because of this. Right. I'm blessed that that Lead Up for Women is growing. But I think the best advice we can say is you need to drop your ego and contact all your creditors and then start a budget. If you don't have one, start one, because this is the habit you need to get into for the rest of your life. And it's just being smart. It's just being smart about money. Educate yourself now about money. So Hyacinth, thank you so much for joining us today. You are always such a pleasure. Great, great, great advice. I love you so much. And thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
See you, girl.